Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey, Rosh, happy to be here as always. We are two creative guys talking AI. I know we've all been on the edge of our seat. I have an update of what I was going through last week with some chat
Yes.
GPT conversation back and forth. And I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I'm slightly disappointed. Uh, but we anticipated that. We
Yes,
knew that
yes.
maybe it was biting off a little more than it could chew. But I do have some good that came from it, so that's good. I did a video this past weekend about Dreamina, which is by CapCut, which is owned by ByteDance. So
Hmm.
this is the TikTok's,
Yeah.
entry into the fold, and it was very impressive. And then I want to talk quickly about the AI 2027 report.
All
There's
right.
some writing on the wall happening here.
Yeah.
So let's see if we're reading it the right way. What do you have going on today?
So I have some stuff that's going to fit with what you're talking about.
Great.
But the first thing I'm going to talk about is Academy of Motion Picture Arts Sciences acknowledges the existence of generative AI and
Ah,
change new rules.
okay.
And they're not saying it's bad or it's going to hurt anything. And I want to talk about that as well as
Good.
what we need to be looking at, and perhaps why. And
Hmm.
and then I want to talk about my Leonardo disaster, which fits just fine with your conversation about the speed of what we're going on in the
Yeah.
report. So,
Right.
yeah. So, hey, give it to us. What do you?
All right.
We're waiting, man.
I finally really called ChatGPT out. So a quick refresher to those who didn't listen last week.
What?
ChatGPT has been working with me developing an app, supposedly, where it kept giving me empty promise after empty promise. And these are not deadlines I set upon ChatGPT. These are ones that it gave it to itself. So like when I said, I first gave it this idea and it said, hey, we could build this app. We can use Glide, which is a program for building apps. And I'll do all this behind the scenes. Hey, give me 48 hours. I'll get back to you. So I said, okay, that's a little weird. Usually I click a prompt, I click a button, it does its thinking, and then it gets back to me. So at first it said, hey, I'm going to email you, any updates. And, day after day, promise after promise, no emails showed up. And, I eventually said to it, I said, hey, do you even have the power of emailing me? And it's like, no, Brian, I don't. I can't email you directly. And I'm like, well, then why the heck have you been promising me emails of this program for weeks? And, it's promising me a full tutorial video and how to use this app and full implementation across the board. And, I, I didn't want to be mad at it. You know what I mean? It's like if you've
Yeah.
got an employee who's, promising you, and it's like you really want whatever product it is they're going to make you. So you kind of have to walk a tightrope with them to where it's like, hey, I appreciate you doing this, but give me something. Show me what you're doing. Don't just give me empty promise after empty promise. And, I kept getting this reply back of just being like, I'm so sorry, Brian. I missed the deadline. I really appreciate your confidence in me, even though, you've got no reason to believe in me anymore. I mean, the words, it was like I'm in an abusive relationship with ChatGPT. And it's not gaslighting. It didn't tell me, oh, I gave it to you weeks ago. You must have missed the email.
Yeah, right.
But it was continually misleading. So at the end of the day, I just finally said to it, you need to send me whatever you have right now. Not in 2 minutes, not in 2 hours, not in 2 days, and all the promises it's given me. And it's like, absolutely, Brian, this is a justified request. And all right, truth be told, I didn't really make anything in this app. Truth be told, but what I can do is provide you step-by-step directions on how to do this in the app should you, sign up for Glide and go in. So, at the end of the day, I think I still got some useful information out of it, but was it worth 2 weeks of empty promises back and forth and all of that? No, no, not at all. So
Yeah.
I just said to it at the end of the day, I was like, hey, don't do this to me again. Don't
Yeah.
promise me something that you can't deliver. And so, the real crux of my message that I put up in the video a couple days ago called ChatGPT Lied to Me was don't put yourself out on a line with your clients promising the world when you might not necessarily be able to deliver it based on, what ChatGPT says it's going to do for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody, be out in a lurch because they're trying to, make something or do something that might be beyond its capabilities. Now, if I had the $200 a month operator version where I actually have an agent that can maybe go to the Glide website and build, then maybe I believe that it's doing this because I
Yeah.
could actually watch it doing it in the browser. But if I only have the $20 a month plus version, and one of the things it kept saying to me is, hey, I'm going to reply to this conversation with an answer. And I'm like, you know what? When's the last time I ever uploaded one or went to one of my previous, Chat GPT conversations and had a new prompt unprompted?
Yeah.
And never.
Right.
So every time I came back in, I'm like, hey, how you doing today? What's going on? What's the latest? Oh, hey, thanks for following up. This is what I've done. But it ended up giving me a whole lot of nothing at the end of the day. And
So
it's
beware.
frustrating. Yeah, right. So user be aware, but my flame of hope is not extinguished in this because I do know that as things develop and there are more agents and operators and different things happening, that this is truly how apps are going to become developed. Somebody just
Yeah.
has an idea, you get a conversation going, like we talked about with flow coding,
Yeah.
that you don't really need to know anything about coding. You could be an absolute novice like me who took a C++ class in 2001, and I that's about all I know about coding. So yeah, so you can, you will be able to build things, and what I'm going to do is my next step is I'm going to use an O3 or an O4 mini or one of those ones to where
Yeah.
I can get a canvas going on,
Yeah.
and it's actually developing things in a canvas. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on
I hate Canvas.
that?
No, really. I have found it '03, or was it '04 high was starting to just kind of force the issue and just opening things up in Canvas.
Hmm.
And I found that it would like stop two-thirds halfway through coding and just stop and say,
Hmm.
okay, I'm all done. It's like, no, you
Okay.
haven't. You haven't even completed the code. I mean, I just asked you to update some things and just give me the full code so I can cut and paste into where I want to go, and
Yeah.
it'd stop. So I told it to stop. Now, I think ultimately it's just fine. I think that's just a glitch that's going to, get fixed over time, but that's where we are. And that's why
Interesting.
I kind of hate it. And actually I just don't like the feel of it. But that may be my personal preference in the sense of I have been using just the output as it is, to hit copy and go out, through a normal
Right.
chat that it seems like there's some limitations that are there to protect me, and I hate that in software. I
Right.
hate it when they take stuff away, so because I often take shortcuts and do things
Right.
my way with stuff. I mean, they did stuff like that all the time with website development apps. So I know I just went off on a tangent, but
Oh no, that's
ultimately, there's so many different directions we can go with this.
right. It's just frustrating because, there's all these different versions and they're good at their own thing in their own
Yeah,
different way. But if you're in the wrong version trying to create something and it's still, telling you that it's okay, that's kind of weird. But,
yeah,
like even we had said before, with new Chat GPT 4.5, I'm getting roadblock after roadblock trying to use that to the point where
yeah.
I'm just
I
going
don't
back to
like it.
4.0 again and again.
Yeah,
It's, this,
I do not like 4.5 either.
yeah,
And that's the expensive one. It's
right.
really expensive to run. 4.1 isn't too bad at all. I've connected that again, that's only an API version, but 3.0 is
Ah,
pretty good. The best relationship that I have had is not available anymore, and that was O3 Mini
ah.
in terms of coding. Um,
Okay. That makes
uh,
sense.
O3 has been all right. It's gotten better. I look at O4 high and low. They're okay. Or mini, or they're okay. They're all
Right.
good in that range. But
That makes sense.
yeah,
All right. Well, back to speaking to our creatives in the audience and the
yes,
motion picture. The rules have changed because are they accepting this as true
yes, yeah.
cinema?
So
What's
they're
going on?
basically saying, look, it's all in how you use it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to have AI in there. And quite honestly, it's going back to our conversation of it's just the right tools for the right time and the right
Right.
situation. And you can create an entire AI movie and you can create a few clips. There's so many amazing things that we can do now. It keeps
Hmm.
getting better and better. And they're recognizing that the fact is it's going to happen. It's going to be a part of it. It's going to be the right tool.
Right.
But again, I mean, I don't know how people are going to react in the future. Is there going to be an AI character that we all fall in love with and think is amazing down the road?
Probably.
But
Yeah.
there's also the element of wanting to meet people in person, seeing the band live, things like that.
Precisely.
That AI is just not going to get past. I mean, it can't just become a robot and now unless it's a robot band, which could happen. But there's going to
Hmm.
be one, two, maybe three down the road, but then I mean, there's only so many robot bands, AI bands that you'd be have AI actors that you would care about deeply.
Right.
We're still going to have that human connection, knowing that that person is real off stage and can see them and so forth. So,
Well, yeah, one of the things we enjoy about movies is the true talent of the actor. And
yeah,
the actor is not always reading the script. They're often ad-libbing lines,
yes,
and
yeah.
that's that spark
The
that,
Robin Williams, kind of a
right,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
imagine trying to write a script for him. Whew. Anyway.
I don't think you can. It could. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where they are with it.
Yeah.
And it really just depends on how far we go with all this. So, it's interesting. It's good one that they acknowledged it. It's coming our way. And as creatives, we need to know, kind of the rules of it all, but
Yeah.
also, know that, hey, everything, it's just a tool. It's just going to
Yeah.
be a tool going forward. And we're going to have to weigh it based on what our ultimate vision is.
Well, look at the Star Wars, the original trilogy, then the prequels, and
Yeah.
as things have moved along, the technology available late 70s, early 80s, they had to get real creative to pull off these scenes and these different
Yeah.
things, and then CGI comes in. And
Yeah.
that's what I kind of look at AI as, and again, the prequels, say what you want about them, but some of them, especially the third one, they've aged kind of well. But we're 20 years after that now.
Yeah.
And we look now at the CGI that's then, and we don't balk a second at it.
Yeah.
It's that's how the movie was made, is their CGI. And that's what, AI is kind of that next step of that.
Sure.
Even think about with recording music, before it was reel to reel, and then it was tapes, and then all of a sudden Pro Tools came along. And
Yeah.
it's just like in your world of photography. So it's,
Yeah.
that next level of technology. There's always going to be resistance in adapting it, but it's going to push its, technology will be technology and push itself forward.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it really is about what is that end vision and what tools do you need to get there. And
Right.
I think part of that too, it's about storytelling. And
Hmm.
if you're a good storyteller, I mean, seriously, that's what it's about, and being able to use the right tools to tell that story. So AI for AI's sake, no,
Yeah.
but if you can tell a good story using different tools as well, human and non-human and all the various options that are coming,
Right.
we'll see how it all works out.
Very good. So, all right. Well, hop in real quick. I tried a new image generator this weekend,
Yeah.
Dreamina, which is made by the people at ByteDance. So those are the CapCut company. So they are the ones who own TikTok. So we know they're doing a lot right in the social media world, and they've created a revolutionary app there. So it's like, how are they doing in the world of AI? And I put it up against Rev and Leonardo, so our two of our top image generators. And you know what? I might have a new king of the pile here in terms
Really?
of
That
in
good?
terms of the blend. So it's got the drama of Leonardo and it's got the prompt adherence of Rev to a degree. I'd say
Okay.
95% of it.
All right.
But the photorealism and a lot of it, like when I did the comparison, I was very, very impressed by Dreamina. So it did a really, really good job, and it's free. That's my favorite price.
Oh, that's a good
Um,
price.
you get 120 credits a day. Each of the 1K resolution images
Yeah,
take two
right.
credits. So it's
Okay.
60 images in a day. I don't know about you, but I'm not creating 60 images in a day. I
Yeah,
mean, maybe some
2K
people.
also, some of
Yeah.
these are 480 depending on where
Right.
you are,
Yep.
So nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, it was very good. I thought its photorealism is good, but now we're getting to the point where it's hard to tell these ones apart. They're all fighting this race and getting up there
Yeah.
to where things look so real. I mean, do things in the background, like a billboard or a TV on a wall, does that have distortions in it, or maybe things not spelled correctly or things like that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because this is a Chinese-owned company, a lot of the outputs had Asian writing. And I don't know
Mm.
about you, but I can't read any of that. So I can't tell you if it's distorted or not, if it's actually saying real things. They could be putting all sorts of subliminal propaganda messages in there. Who knows? But yeah, but again, it's another option. So now we've got Rev and Dreamina, which are both actually, it's funny that they're versions of the word dream because
Yeah,
we're
right.
creating these dreamlike images, but they're both free and they're both just kicking butt to the point where it's like, if it wasn't for Leonardo's special features that I
Yeah.
use, like constant characters and other things like that, I'd consider getting rid of my Leonardo subscription at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Leonardo, over back to me on that front,
Yeah, that's
Leonardo, my
perfect handoff.
Leonardo disaster.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Leonardo added motion control, and it was a pretty big deal. And I was really excited about it because we have that on Kling. Kling
Yeah.
has that brush system, which is really pretty cool. I
Pika,
mean,
Pika as well,
and
right?
Pika
Yep.
has it too. We should probably compare them all at some
Hmm.
point. That might be a good video this week to compare those three.
So
And
motion control is kind of like directing the camera's movement, right?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I was thinking motion control. Actually, with Kling, you can tell the model to go a certain direction and use a brush system to say
Oh,
that
okay.
way or this way. It's really, really good.
Nice. I haven't
Um,
played with that yet. That's cool.
yeah, yeah. So actually, one of the earliest videos that I had done for us was on that topic, and I think it needs to be updated.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was horrible. I mean, everything just morphed out of control. I mean, just simple basic stuff. Um, I mean, some stuff worked where, you go up or, and look, it just, but it wasn't very strong.
Yeah.
And so and some of them just completely, like there was one, the spaceman was just like, it was in the air and I figured, hey, we'll do a turn kind of a thing. And oh no, it just morphed it and it ended up underwater. It was just this horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
So it really was a disaster. Was not happy at all with it. And that kind of leads us to this whole idea of things coming out so quickly and a little too fast. I
Right.
don't think I think that they just did not. I mean, Leonardo's been like Pika, Leonardo and Pika just keep cranking stuff out, and even
Yeah.
like with Pika 2.2, not so awesome.
Hmm.
And so some of their stuff's good, some of it's not, and it's hit and miss. But that really puts a when it's that bad, it puts a
Yeah.
damper on. You think you got it out, you shipped, but you shipped junk and that
Right.
that was not good. I mean, because again, some of the basic things should have held up. If I was pushing the edge, I'd say, "Oh, okay,"
Yeah, it
but
wasn't like a 2 page long prompt of complicated
not at
things. You're
all,
pretty much
not at all.
add motion. And then when we've got benchmarks out there like Kling that are so good, how disappointing is it to have something not even half as good?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So that's very frustrating. So,
So
well,
that's my Leonardo deal, and there was not much more to say about it other than I mean, I even said
that's
that in
all.
the headline: disaster. It
Yeah,
really was.
understood. Well, that's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that.
So,
What do
all
you
right.
got?
Well, to finish the show here today, I want to talk about something published in the past month called the AI 2027 report.
Yeah,
So, what this was is a rather in-depth, a 71-page document written by a team of experienced researchers and forecasters urging the debate and preparation as the pace of AI development accelerates.
yeah,
So, I mean, we all know the idea of an exponential curve. We are currently in the middle of that exponential curve,
yes,
and things are accelerating quickly. And they keep talking about AGI and all of these things. And really, what the worry is that if these things continue to develop unchecked and they get into the wrong hands or bad actors or anything, that this is going to become something that's going to be controlling economies of scale
yeah,
and a big deal. So, they said pretty much in this report, they outlined two possible scenarios. There's one that they call the race,
yeah,
where there's no holds barred, everything's on, we're in a full board race, and we're kind of there right now. Or they call it the slowdown, where it's a collaborative approach where global leaders implement regulations and safety measures to manage AI development responsibly.
I
So,
don't see that happening. We haven't even gotten control of the internet
right,
when it comes
exactly.
to that. So
Yeah.
this is, I mean,
So,
they're saying this doubles every, I read something, they said doubling every 2 months, the
yeah,
brain power of what these
yeah.
AIs and what it can do. So, and
So,
would you
we're,
agree? I mean, look at where we've been
yeah,
in the past year. I
yeah,
mean, we're not even into the Pico 1. Do you remember Pico 1?
yeah.
It was really pretty ugly,
Horrendous. Yeah.
and we're not even at a year yet. I think we're just in what Pika can do now. So
Right.
that's just a year.
Hmm. Yeah, nuts. I mean, by 2027, they're saying it could be a critical asset to countries comparable to nuclear weapons or energy infrastructure. So, nations might, assert control over these AI labs and use them for, reasons that we don't want. So,
Yeah.
we need to, as a people, continue to keep people educated and informed and, some people have the mindset of, no regulation or anything in this world, but, sometimes we do need some checks and balances to keep the bad actors at bay
Yes.
and keep this for the good side of things, for cancer research, keep this like, we talked last week for suicide prevention and stuff
Yeah.
like that. There's a lot of good that can come from this if it's done the right way. And that's that potential, utopia that, maybe someday we'll have a 3-day work week and be able to make the income we need to survive ourselves and spend 4 days a week doing what we want as, leisure. Those are some of the predictions of this as
Right.
it being that much of a help. And that's the world that I want.
Yeah.
That's, with the world I want my son to grow up in. And, so, the call to action right now is really just to, emphasize the urgency to policymakers and, discuss strategies that, to kind of navigate some of the issues, by unchecked AI development.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, I think I'm hopeful, but
Yeah,
again, I've
always an
seen how it
optimist.
all worked out with the internet, and how that just so we'll see. I think it's going too fast because, quite
Hmm.
honestly, it's just you may have recalled in the last couple of years there was some stuff, say within Congress where they were just talking about social media, and half the senators had no idea what they were talking about when it came to social media, which has like been around for
Been around for
15,
20 years.
20
Right.
years.
Yeah.
So this was something that's growing this fast.
Yeah.
It's worth, you know, putting your voice out there and saying, look, you need to make sure we're doing the right thing here
Yeah.
because this can, I think to the point. I mean, I hate to be, you know, I hate to go down that road, but
Yeah.
if we don't, I guess, you and I, we're not being responsible if we don't talk about these things. Um, and,
Precisely. Yeah.
and
I mean, the quantity of people who still have just heard of it as this thing but have never used it is
yeah,
still like if you're in a room of 70 people, still over half the room hasn't even used it.
yeah,
I'm doing a speaking event for real estate on Wednesday, and I'm remaking my presentation because obviously, if it's been 6 months since I've talked
yeah,
about it, everything has changed.
absolutely.
So I need to keep updating the presentation, but it's like, how high level with this do I get, or do I just go back to the basics of telling people what this tool is, how it exists, and how to use it?
Yeah,
And it's, but just like the internet, just like social media, kind of starts with one thing and then all of a sudden it's a part of our culture. And this
yeah,
is going to happen even quicker.
yeah, absolutely. Very good. All right. Well, we are two creative guys talking AI. Talk to you next week.
I'll see you next week. Bye.